considered a career in accountancy? I did for a minute. Many years on, I kind of regret that I didn't do it. You get security and stability of employment. You get a comfortable lifestyle. And above all, you become, after all that training, one of the world's best lovers. But you knew that. It's no secret. I mean, 2,500 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, a whole bunch of horny Brahmin priests wrote a book about the art of love. And they called it the Kama Sutra. And one of the things in that book that was so memorable, most memorable, was that the ultimate secret in the art of love is to keep your female partner happy. And one way of doing that is to count from 1 to 1,000. And who better to do that, ladies and gentlemen, than an accountant? What I really want to speak about tonight is humor, or light relief. Trying to build a little bit of humor into every speech, even a speech on accounting. Especially a speech on accounting, or actuaries, whatever. And the reason is twofold. Firstly, your audience needs it. Secondly, you need it. So firstly, the audience. Scientists have measured the human attention span at 48 minutes. But in my experience, in speaking, the human enjoyment span is about 1 or 2 minutes. Which means you have to build in a little bit of light relief virtually into every paragraph. It doesn't have to be a joke, it doesn't have to be any humorous, but it can be a little anecdote or a little aside, just to lighten the load. Because otherwise, any speech runs the danger of becoming a lecture. And we don't want to be standing up here delivering a lecture, because we all know what the definition of a lecture is. Yes? A lecture, Ian, is a speech where the audience emerges anaesthetized at both ends. And you need it, because if you build in a little anecdote or a little bit of humor, your whole speaking style changes, because you feel it more, you feel what you're saying more, you build in, your eyes twinkle, your speech becomes more vivid, your body becomes energized. Don't believe me? Don't believe me, Max. But let me tell you one thing, Max, and let me ask you this. Who would you prefer to listen to? Boris or Dave?
Johnson or Yeltsin?
Boris. Suppose, for example, ladies and gentlemen, you wanted to hear some aspect of Tory party policy. Can't for the life of me imagine why you would want to hear that. But just suppose you did. Who would you want to get it from? Who would you want to hear it from? Boris or Dave? Because one would entertain you and the other would anesthetize you. Love him or loathe him, Boris is a character. I don't know whether you heard the other day that he walked into his office in the mayor's office on the South Bank, and he was so full of himself. He was really, really excited. He walked in and he said, guess what? He said, I've now got my own Boris bike. And his secretary burst into tears. She said, I do have a name, you know. Oh, it's shocking. It is shocking. It is shocking. Ladies and gentlemen, try and build a little bit of light relief into all your speeches, because even if it's sometimes a little bit borderline, because you need it and the audience need it. And just to conclude, do you know what the main reason Why are you shaking your head? Do you know what the main reason is, for why people decide to pursue the profession of accountancy? It is because they realize they don't have the charisma to be an undertaker. And while we're talking about charisma, that brings me neatly to our next speaker, who's going to be orchestrating the evening with his quirky, witty, charismatic style. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Alexei.